Carleton thinks.
Carleton understands.
I mean, how can you even do philosophy if a self is just momentary?
Carleton moves.
Carleton moves fast.
Carleton explore.
And this is the DECA, the 209 congener.
Carleton works.
And the ministers are kind of recasting this with a vertical dimension.
Carleton acts.
Carleton rocks.
There's two different sources for suspended material. Being brought in by rivers as a plume,
and just
right?
resuspended.
And just resuspension.
Carleton believes.
Carleton awakens. Awakens your intellectual curiosity, awakens the dormant potential in you, awakens the man and the woman in you.
I think that Carleton really emphasizes self-reflection. Why do you think what you think? And why is that important? And how is that relevant in the larger scheme of things? And I think that just in asking questions like that, in its many shapes and forms, I think that Carleton is really preparing you for the real world.
Possibly help it. I had Professor Bill North in my freshman year, who's great. And I think he was one of the biggest influences on my writing freshman year, just because, I'd come to him and say, hey, how do we work this through? I can't figure out this idea. Working over every single essay before and afterwards, trying to figure out what I could do better, and constantly looking at his comments saying, can you unpack this idea? Can you unpack this idea?
While Mike was operating on the assumption that the wealth people acquire is not based on exploitation or abuse, that's actually an unfair
They're not here just to get the credits, to get the degree. When they're here to fully engage with Carleton.
I feel like too much wealth is a different thing from unjustly acquired wealth. And that's a question, whether one can have too much wealth, it doesn't necessarily have such a clear answer. Like, everyone would agree that you can have unjustly acquired wealth, but...
That intellectual curiosity, that desire to learn not only your subject, the subject you might be majoring in, but also all the other subjects which we might expose you to, either through distribution requirements or things you just get excited about on your own. Students take that very seriously.
I originally declared geology, and I think it's really valuable. I think understanding Earth systems and understanding kind of the dynamic processes that form the landscape here on Earth is both really interesting and really important.
No, there's still a bunch of mangrove material in there, but...
I kind of dove right into it right when I came to Carleton. Fall term freshman year, I took Intro Geo, and I've pretty much taken a geo class ever since, including going abroad to New Zealand to study it. We spent 5 weeks exploring the North Island and 5 weeks exploring the South Island, kind of in the context of these little 1 week long research projects. It was an amazing experience. Sophomore year, I ended up applying for a fellowship through the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration that funded my research over this last summer between junior and senior year. I got to hang out in Hawaii and study tsunami models for the summer, which turned into my comps, which was an incredibly valuable experience. And as it turns out, the tsunamis that they each would have generated are substantially different.
When I came to Carleton, I wanted to major in Japanese, because I'd taken Japanese in high school. Then I switched to French because I was thinking, maybe, I want to study European history and French would be more useful. So I switched to French. That cut out Japanese. And I was thinking maybe a French major because I'm enjoying French so much. And I was taking English classes at the same time. I took one history class, and I really liked that one history class.
They act as openers in the story.
I realized what I was really focusing on is that I love stories. And that's really what all of them came together as, that I wanted to know real stories, and I wanted to know stories that could impact the way I was living my life now, knowing more about the basis for the way the world was functioning.
I'm a cams and theater major from Houston, Texas, and I'm very handsome. I picked the cams major because I like all of the arts liberally. And I figured CAMS was the greatest synthesis of all those things. With CAMS, I can make a documentary, and there's history, or there's anthropology, or there's biology, or there's whatever I want to be there. I can put studio art into it. We can also put, linguistics. I can put CS. It's the one major I found that could touch anything else.
One of the things that we try really hard to do in the chemistry department is to have students be essentially apprentices and work on doing science from the very beginning.
I am in a upper level chem course this term, and it's entitled Environmental Analysis. They found that toxicity is somewhat related to whether or not there's a bromine ortho to the carbon that's connected to the oxygen. I presented recently on the US regulations behind certain chemicals that are toxic to polar bears in the Arctic. These chemicals are being produced in industries in the US and around the world, and they end up in polar bears in very high concentrations. I was looking at the US regulations regarding some of these specific chemicals, which are polybrominated diethyl ether flame retardants. And they're finding that these chemicals are present everywhere. I'm thinking that I want to be an environmental chemist just because I have a love for the environment and chemistry, and they match up really well.
I think I was so scared about Minnesota winter because every time I told people I was going to Carleton, they're like, well, is that in Minnesota? You know, it's really cold in Minnesota. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Being from Alaska, I'm used to the snow. When it snows at the end of fall term, I'm excited because it means you can go out and ski, you can sled, it's beautiful in the winter.
It wasn't as bad as I thought. I mean, I don't think it could have possibly been as bad as I thought. Get a really good coat. Get a great pair of faux fur-lined boots.
We would have snowball fights, and we would have like snowman making competitions. We also like play boom ball out at the ice rings. And all of that really contributes to the richness of my Carleton life here. And I am actually considering to go on holiday in the winter when there is no winter in Singapore because I really love the snow, and Carleton helped me discover that.
So traying is where you slide down the hill behind us, which is Belfield Hill, on dining hall trays that you've stolen from one of the 2 dining halls at Carleton. You start at the top of the hill, just sit down, and without being strapped in anything, slide all the way down, hopefully, without losing your tray.
Sledding for the price of what one meal plan will give you.
Being able to find a balance between academics and athletics is something that you have to work on at Carleton, but it's definitely something that's possible. Just after a long day in the classroom or doing homework or working on a lab, being able to come out to the baseball field and run around and throw a baseball around for 2 or 3 hours a day is just a perfect escape. But still at the same time be working hard on something else too and have success on the baseball field as well. In addition to not only the academics and the athletics, I've been able to explore my artistic side. Back in high school, and I didn't really explore that other side, and coming here, being able to take that class and having the support of everyone here while doing it has been great. I also wanted a school that I felt really comfortable being at, where I felt like I could be myself and not have to worry about fitting in. I think Carleton definitely has an attitude where everyone is accepted for who they are and appreciated for whatever they bring to the college.
Drumming was interesting for me because I usually am drawn to things that I'm good at, and I'm not that good at drumming. First, it's just making the sounds. Can you get any sound out of it? Now here's a really complicated slap that's going to take you maybe several months to learn. But then from then on, like the whole puzzle part of it, it's fascinating, especially when you get into Afro-Cuban rhythms and African rhythms. And Jay's an incredible teacher. And it's an amazing community full of all these really devoted people. Now I've, worked my way up the ranks and I'm a lead drummer, which is crazy. Not have imagined that. But playing this drum that's like 4 feet tall to these Ghanaian rhythms, and it's so much fun. And it's such an important part of my life here at Carleton.
Carleton sings. Carleton laughs. So Winnie D, the sketch comedy group, we have a lot of fun making sketches that are a sort of a Saturday Night Live-esque thing that we can make fun of someone or a group. We can have ludicrous, we can also have really witty and intellectual banter, and it's just fun.
Carleton swims. I've swum on the varsity team the last 2 years here. I've been to the MIAC championships both years, and Carleton has done well. And it's been a very fun experience. Practices are very challenging. When we're in the middle of our season, we have morning practices 3 days a week, and then afternoon practices every day. It's nice just to take a break from studying and classwork and just be able to go to the pool, relax, work hard with your friends, and then after practice you just feel rejuvenated. There's the endorphins going, and so then you can have dinner and jump right back into your coursework.
Carleton runs a number of off-campus studies trips independently from other organizations, just within the school itself.
In my 3 years at Carleton, I have been abroad for 3 terms.
Carleton goes and meets the world.
I direct the program to Paris, and there are about 20 students, and they're in French families for the entire stay. And my class is called La Joie de Vivre, or the Joy of Living, and we're going to be tracing the French notion of living well.
The first time I studied abroad was in Madrid.
I have some friends that went on some environmental study programs to Iceland, where they went and studied alternative energy and the geothermal system that Iceland has set up.
The second time I was in Mali, more specifically in Bamako.
And I went on that program with Izzy, as a matter of fact. It's directed by a colleague of mine. He does a trip from Mali to Burkina Faso and visits several sites that are mentioned in a book they read. His name is Juan Grand, the person that we're following.
I chose to go abroad this summer after my freshman year of college, and I just applied to the Ireland program on a whim. I'm so glad I went, and I had these wonderful experiences. We got to meet Seamus Heaney, and that was awesome. Like, he came into Trinity College, Dublin. We're sitting there in this august institution, and he walks in, this tottering 75-year-old man, and he was so sweet and engaging, and he was just standing there and reading out Digging, which is one of his more famous poems, and it was a life-changing experience. We got to sit around and ask him questions after. I took a photograph with him. It was just really, really a great experience.
I came to Carleton because I knew it was a place where I could explore my passions and really be supported in whatever I decided I ultimately was most passionate about. This past fall, the fall of my junior year, I had the opportunity to go on the Center for Global Education's Sustainable Development and Social Change in Central America program. It's a little bit of a mouthful, especially in Spanish, but we went to Guatemala, Nicaragua, and El Salvador. It is absolutely something that has shaped my return to Carleton and has shaped my thoughts about careers. I'm really interested in something called sustainable development. There are some really systemic issues of poverty and lack of access to education, lack of access to key funds. My hope is to participate in making change in a way that is really focused on the needs of people in these countries. So I will probably be doing my comps or my senior project in international relations on something related to this. Carleton attracts people who are passionate. It attracts faculty and students who are passionate about a huge variety of things.
And the student-teacher relationships are just so informal and really lovely, and I've gotten to know so many people in amazing capacities. And I've met awesome people from just about everywhere. So I think in that sense it was a perfect fit for me.
And you'll find people that pursue whatever their passion is here, and it's amazing to see what some of my fellow students do with their time here at Carleton.
It's really given me the confidence to know that I can move into a new world after I graduate, whatever that world may be.
My absolute favorite thing about Carleton students is their desire to be better. And it's not like I want to be better, so I want to be better than you. Like, it's not really a comparison thing. It's better than how I was yesterday.
Keep going, and 1. Okay.
I don't have it again.
Okay, one more time. Really make the last one big.